Title: The Lost Episode. In a small town where nothing ever really changed, a group of 4 friends, Alice, Sam, Leo, and Rachel, were bound by their love for one particular show, Nightwatch. It was your typical spooky teen drama, laden with twists, ghosts, and dark secrets, but what made it special was the enigmatic aura surrounding its production. For years, fans whispered about a lost episode that had never aired, said to contain disturbing content that unsettled even the most hardened of watchers. Some claimed it was the reason for the abrupt cancellation of the show after its 3rd season. One fall evening, emboldened by their excitement and a hint of recklessness, the friends decided to explore the old production studio, which had long since been abandoned. The building loomed on the edge of town, its windows shattered and its entrance concealed by a mass of tangled weeds and dilapidation. It had become a local legend, and the kids dared each other, unaware of the darkness that lurked within those crumbling walls. "Come on, let's find that lost episode," Leo said, his eyes sparkling with mischief as they pried open the creaking door. The air inside was stale, oppressive, carrying with it the scent of rot and decay. Faded posters from the show's glory days hung limply on the walls, their once vivid colors peeling away, much like the memories of all who had once worked there. Armed with flashlights and phones, they made their way through the dark, navigating past scattered equipment and broken furniture. Suddenly, Rachel gasped. "Look," she pointed toward an open door at the end of a dimly lit hallway. The wood was warped and seemed to beckon them closer. Nervously, they approached, their hearts racing. Inside was what looked like a small editing room, filled with dusty equipment and disheveled papers scattered across a long table. But what caught their attention was the flickering screen in the corner, an old computer running with outdated software. "Is that?" Sam whispered, leaning in. "There's a file named Lost Episode," Rachel said, excitement creeping into her voice. They gathered around as Leo sat down and clicked on the file. The screen came to life, revealing the familiar theme music of Nightwatch. Their faces lit with anticipation. But as the episode played, an oppressive weight settled in the room. The visuals were dark, almost grainy, and the scenes flashed bizarrely, unnerving imagery of the main characters appearing to descend into madness. In one haunting scene, the air was thick with fog, and they heard familiar phrases but in twisted, distorted tones. "This is eerie," Alice muttered, her mouth dry. Halfway through, the friends began to notice subtle but disturbing changes in the characters. They started to bleed from their eyes, their expressions warped into grotesque masks of torment. The laughter that once filled the screen turned into choking sobs, and the atmosphere shifted from campy horror to something sinister. "Turn it off," Sam shouted, panic rising as he backed away. But the computer had different plans. The screen flickered violently, and an image appeared, an unfamiliar face cloaked in shadows, the hollow eyes staring out as if looking directly at them. "Let me in," it whispered through the speakers, a voice so faint yet so chilling that it seemed to haunt the edges of their minds. Without warning, the lights in the room flickered, and the chilling voice echoed louder, seemingly vibrating through the walls. "Let me in," it roared, the door to the room slamming shut. The air thickened, and the temperature dropped. Desperation set in as they tried the door, but it wouldn't budge. Leo hit the keyboard, and the video abruptly stopped, the ominous face remaining frozen on the screen. Suddenly, all was eerily silent, but the tension persisted, thick as the fog that had enveloped the characters on screen. The friends backed into each other, and they felt it. Cold fingers traced across their skin as if unseen spirits were brushing against them, lingering and probing. The screen flickered back to life, and the characters appeared once more, but this time they weren't the playful teens they remembered. They were wild-eyed and cackling, drenched in blood, their intentions dark and sinister. With a burst of adrenaline, Rachel banged on the door one last time. "We have to get out." As if responding to her desperate pleas, the door creaked open. They wasted no time, bolting out into the hallway, their breaths ragged and hearts pounding. The shadows danced behind them, and whispers echoed, frantic and haunting. "Let me in," the voice chanted again, now sounding fainter, yet ever so insistent, as if reality was fraying at the edges. They burst outside into the fresh air and collapsed on the grass, gasping for breath. The haunting remnants of the show clung to their thoughts, the echoes of the lost episode resonating deeply in their minds. What was that? Leo panted, still in shock. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the four friends began to walk back home, glancing back at the derelict studio. Little did they know, the lost episode hadn't just been a piece of forgotten media. It had invited something into the world, something that had been trapped inside the screen, waiting for anyone foolish enough to let it out. In the days that followed, they would find themselves plagued by nightmares and the whisper of voices in their waking hours. The lost episode wasn't just a story long buried, it was an ancient warning, a reminder that some things are better left unexplored. And deep inside, they all knew, they might not ever be free from what they had unleashed.